Hey folks, it's Justin once again, and I'm happy to come to you today on Wednesday, uh, here in July 8th, and finally glad to come back and be able to supply you with some more entertainment in the Beach Boy world. And today we're looking at a special SMiLE edition of the Endless Summer Quarterly from March of 1997, and I love this beautiful artwork on the front. I believe Frank Holmes did it in reflection of Brian and Van Dyke's experience and Brian Wilson, history with KFWB and behind the SMiLE shop and everything. It's just really neat, and you have EMI kind of ad with Good Vibrations single, with the picture of the guys that was to be on the back of the SMiLE album. Before that, I would just like to mention, today I just got my prize from WNHU, which I had emailed them. There was a question on which song has Paul McCartney not played in concert live, and I believe it was No More Lonely Nights. I answered like 3 or 4 weeks ago, so I can't remember what the answer was, but I remember one of them was Please Please Me, and I knew it wasn't that one. So anyway, I chose, they had a couple CDs, and the one I chose was Wings Over America, which I remember really liking that live album. And so it's from the Paul McCartney collection that's doing the re-releases right now, which is really awesome. And it's like a great album. I've got it on vinyl. It looks like it's a whole lot of fun. Great track listing there, with some really good tunes. So can't wait to listen to it. So anyway, moving on. I've been reading this on and on for the past month, I would say. So it's pretty fresh in my mind. But Frank Holmes here mentions how he does the cover art, and what he talks about, his involvement with the project and why he chose to draw what he drew. And on here we have a word from Joe Thomas on SMiLE. Letters the editor, of course. Van Dyke Parks on Frank Holmes. Paul Williams, A Visit with Brian, which is an older article. Some reviews on Michigan, October 1966. Making Your Own SMiLE. And Dean Torrance interview, which is great. So anyway, this was the intro from Lee and David Beard. So and moving on with, there was a letter from Jeffrey Foskett thanking them for doing a great job in the interview, which was a great read from the previous month, our previous issue. And we have more letters about Brian being free of the boys, and some different letters of him being angry, or them being angry about Brian being involved with the Stars and Stripes album, which is, it's kind of weird to read about that now. I never knew about any of this stuff. And someone was talking about Landlocked and Surf's Up, which they had reviewed in the previous album. Little happy birthday wishes. Joe Thomas does a little bit on SMiLE, which is kind of weird to think about, but at the time it was Brian's current producer, and so he wrote about his point of views, and how Brian didn't really talk about it. He talks about a few of the songs, not a whole lot, but he talks about Surf's Up, Heroes and Villains, Wonderful, and a couple others, Vegetables, and of course Good Vibrations. So that's kind of a fun read and fun point of view. If there's any way of getting this issue, I highly recommend it, not only for the great art, cover art, but just great interviews and stuff. A wonderful SMiLE edition. And so here's Frank Holmes being interviewed. That's him in 1966, which is in the Look, Listen, Smile, or Vibrate, Smile book by Dominic Priori. And here's a drawing that Frank did of the Insomniac, which I don't know if it was the inspiration for the SMiLE shop, but they had asked, ESQ asked if there was anyone who was the mom and pop, that was represented inside the SMiLE shop cover, and he said that nobody was in particularly used for that, but he said that his daughter grew up thinking that was her mom and dad. So I thought that was kind of cute. And so there's a couple others talking about some of the artwork he didn't do, but he did later on, like the Good Vibrations. Talking about what he heard as far as SMiLE, and who wrote the lyrics for him, the different lyrics that weren't on the album, like Once Upon a Sandwich Isles. Well, what we didn't know. And then like the Having Returned to the East or West Indies, we also got them confused, which isn't on there. And the lyrics that aren't on Cabin Essence about the telephone lines, reconnected telephone, direct dialing, really neat. And so he kind of explains what he was going for in the concept art, which is just really in depth and really awesome. So there's a little bit of black and white copies of Frank Holmes' SMiLE art from '66. And I'm not going to take the time to go through them at the moment, so I don't have a whole lot of time. But here's Van Dyke Parks talking about his experience with Frank Holmes, how they met, and then here's a classic interview. As the editors know here, this is the first chapter of a forthcoming book by Paul Williams, How Deep is the Ocean? And so I'd read that many times in the book itself, so and I'm assuming those who are watching this has read that article many times, because it's just so fascinating what they go through and everything, and what they're talking about during this, which took place during the SMiLE era. And here's some really interesting flashback articles from Michigan when the boys had performed Good Vibrations in 1966. It was the first time, and they were